Lee Kidd has had the type of successful largest authors can just fantasize on. He's spelled 23 thrillers showing us character Nest Reacher, in full turnover of at low 100 millionth copies world. He's fair been mentioned Writer of the Year at the UK Volume Awards. And if he hadn't lose his job in TV, no of it would include happened. Lee Kidd, unborn Jim Harant in Coventry in 1954, says he grew up read precisely which an ordinary UK boy would recite in the 1960s. I'm not one of these folks who complained they recite Dostoevsky while they were 7. I begun in Enid Blyton and later the Beagles books by Skipper Watt E. Johns and after it was Ian Flemish. Alistair MacLean perhaps done the largest experience on me in stories love wherever eagles venture. All really regular material for a kid of my general behind later all was so flat compared to the contemporary planet of on the internet volume groups and suggestions for future read. I kind of Mississippi the chaos days of accidental opening. While he was 4 persons the household excited to Birmingham. Following college in Sheffield, Jim Harant treated at Granada TV in Manchester, manufacturing innumerable trails and written representation links. Largest print human beings include lived and treated in London, but I never did. But as he neared 40 his job at Granada disappeared. He necessary and revenue quick. Need proven the manufacturing of Lee Kidd, virtually. I had never tested to compose whatever of long, he says. Frequently at Granada I was written scripts of 3 or 4 persons speech. I fully feast human beings who unite written in a day job since how would include been really difficult for me. The at first Nest Reacher history, murder story, was spelled in Kirby Lonsdale in Cumbria that is as far off of America as you can think. How at first try began on 1 September and though now he ever starts his yearly circle of written on the identical day. Nest Reacher is 6'5" high and a man out of bonds. He wonders America as a kind of independent righter of wrongs, earning judiciary to a planet wherever it's in brief delivery. Reacher's a ex-war police officer but has no constant invasion. In several ways he really circulation, he's a coarse hard guy and he can be cruel. But down there was ever a kind of natural integrity on him that human beings favorite. Reacher's adventures rapidly found an auditorium. Kidd's obvious skill of which readers wish has with purchased him homes on Center Garden Western in Manhattan and in Wyoming. Though to Reacher did he ever loving the U.S. and aware he might one day dwell down there? This at first period I went to America was 1974, 20 year up I begun written. I believe which appealed was its amount. You couldn't include a Nest Reacher who came of Surrey. I necessary the extensive landscapes and the feeling of loose, open secret towns that no one has attended for year. It wouldn't job if Reacher came of Guilford. Frequently human beings vary just aware the 2 coasts of America. But the interior design really charmed me. Fair sometimes and us will say why is the Briton hard to speak us on our nation? Normally I discover I've been to far more than state rather than they include and I've heard more than. But Kidd is as well cautious of too comprehensive study in the planet he writes on. You requirement to cast off 90%. The recent history strained, was set in New Hampshire but I didn't study by departure down there, frequently it's more than a ram of a location you attended year back. The following Reacher volume, Dark Blue Luna, is set in an amalgamation of 2 cities in southward East USA but he wouldn't say that. I include a affection for the places how are disregarded or leftward over or neglected. In America frequently how came on while the interstate highways were constructed in the 1950s and hundreds of towns were fair bypassed. They each dry up and blew off fully or occasionally they pull through but fair as a membrane of their ex-selves. How can be wherever you discover the enchanting material. He's not a policy analysis but does he always believe how the places Nest Reacher mostly visits tend now to do up the trump card voting center? I do occasionally commentary on policy slantwise. Reacher's a hard nature who will include a natural circulation for the trump card elector. I use him to stick and induce them a slight beat. Human beings in the US interior design can include a facility on creature down there. I've been traveling about America for 45 years and I've ever favorite it. I've go to the finding how the real break in America, social, politically and in each way, is really main. It's among areas of low people thickness and top people thickness. My adoptee country of Wyoming is the amount of the UK, but it perhaps has the people of Leicester. The two versions of America are so drastically various how it very does explanation the share you see now in policy. Kid says he wants to explanation the behavior of the human beings in the medium to the human beings on the US coasts. Yet as well the some way circle since they never very see eye to sight. I've speak to a lot of Americans and I hear where they are and everything their policy. Nearly ever they are really lavish human beings. Down there were two Reacher films, in 2012 and 2016, starring Tom Flight. No pursue UPS our plan though down there say of a probable TV episode in a various conduct artist, perhaps taller. The producers will requirement to dramatize on display the scenes of severe abuse that shape a significant portion of the stories successful in readers. Human beings dwell in the cheap level hum of disappointment, particularly while it comes to criminality and judiciary. In largest places, if your car gets kidnapped, the police force will never capture the folks. So human beings wish to rotate to fictitious wherever down there's a start and a medium and an end, and completely the bad folks will get trapped and punished. Human beings wish procedure recovered and they can't get it in the actual planet, but they can get it in the fictitious sphere. It's a terrible comfort and it's a big portion of which Reacher does in the books. Lee Kidd is so efficient how speaking to him it's difficult not to homeless in his following volume and the one following how. Dark Blue Luna will seem in October, but by later he'll already be at job on Reacher 25. By August down there should be an discovery link in my reason, or perhaps though an discovery clause. Later it's essential to me to sit downward on 1 September and begin the factual written. It gives a pattern to my year that I believe you requirement if your personality employed. Occasionally the history develops rather slow and by January 2020 perhaps I'll be receive concerned how I'm dry up and not quite as spelled. So I put by myself by more than blood pressure and speak by myself it as necessary to be made by March. Although normally it becomes April. But meeting there in May 2019 truly I refuged the faintest concept wherever Nest Reacher will be or which he'll be making following period. Although searching judiciary for the disregarded or leftward over or neglected will certainly be in down there sometime.